everyone. We are going to look at Genesis chapter 12 and following all the way up through chapter 50. Actually, is the next segment of the first 5 books of the Bible. The first was 1 through 11, which is creation, the flood, and the Tower of Babel. And in the first 11 chapters, and this is important for us as we move forward, in the first 11 chapters, we saw that God keeps bringing what is good into the world, and his desires for us to be in cooperation with that, in relationship with all that is good, and continue to increase and multiply and make what is good multiply. Our response has been disobedience, and we've seen two cycles now of the result of the disobedience. The first is the flood with Noah, and God says, let's try this again. And he chooses Noah's family, and they start again. And then from chapter 9 through 11, there's another cycle, and disobedience runs rampant. And then there's the Tower of Babel and the forming of the many nations and the many languages. And here in chapter 12, from all the nations now, God chooses one. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning. So here's how God puts it. This is chapter 12 of Genesis, the first couple of verses. The Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, your father's household, to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." And so first I want to talk about this, what God continues to do, which is he continues to work on ways to bring what is good into the world. And there's a pattern, there's a clear pattern all the way through, and it should be obvious to you here after I say it, and that is God's method of bringing what is good and continuing to create goodness in this world and establish relationship is to firm up a partnership, to choose someone. And that seems to be the answer. And even though Abraham's family is completely dysfunctional, really like beyond measure, he chooses them, and they are disobedient. There's a whole history of them being disobedient, thousands of years of disobedience. And he says they will be a blessing, but they're disobedient. But this is the plan. And so how does God bring his plan to fruition when the very people he chose won't listen? It's an astounding dilemma. And so we begin to narrow down the choice. Initially, it is thought that the choice created a nation that was a bloodline. And so it is the bloodline of Abraham that becomes the blessing to the nations. Paul turns this on its head and says, no, we haven't understood this correctly. It's not the bloodline that God blesses. It's not the genealogical nation of Israel that God blesses. The blessing comes because of the faith. And the nation is not the nation within the boundaries, but it is the people of faith. And so it is the partnership that, and the scriptures call them the remnant, it is the partnership that the remnant has with God that will become a blessing to the nations, not the nation itself. It is the people of faith. And so when you start connecting these dots, the bookend for this, when you start connecting these dots, it should be pretty simple to connect this with something that Jesus says, which is, "You did not choose me, I chose you." And if you're a man or a woman of faith, that's quite an astounding thing to hear, is that he chose me. And the purpose is clear. It hasn't changed. He chose me to be in relationship with him so that as partners, we can continue to create the things that are good. And good from God's perspective, not from ours. And so my responsibility is to be a blessing by bringing what is good into my relationships in this world. And so here during Thanksgiving, we say our Thanksgiving blessing and things that we're thankful for. So I would like for you to ponder between now and Thursday what it really means to be chosen by God. What does it really mean? Does it mean that he values you? Well, of course. Does it mean that he doesn't value someone else? Well, that's not your call. So he values you. He chooses you for purpose. He chooses you because of faith and your belief in him. And so, when is it most important in life to reveal faith? You know, I look at the people of faith in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. I look at Peter and James, John, Paul, men of faith, and their lives. I wonder what they would say if they sat down at a Thanksgiving dinner to say the prayer of blessing. Would they be thankful for their homelessness? Would they be thankful for their friend James just died at the hands of the emperor? Would they be thankful for being shipwrecked? Would they be thankful for being beaten, for being put in prison, falsely accused? I know that sounds strange, and the answer is even stranger, because if they're going to imagine Paul saying a prayer of thanksgiving and a prayer of blessing, and because he does this in his letters, he's thankful for the sorrow and the suffering. And I know you and I, it's almost beyond our ability to reason that and to understand that. But the greatest blessing that we can be to someone else is to reveal how we bring good things into difficult situations, which is exactly what we're supposed to do. That's what it means to be chosen. We are to bring what is good and right and holy into our own hearts, into our families, into our church, our community, and yes, even our nation. And so when we say a prayer of blessing, perhaps we should consider, thank you, God, for the times in my life this year where you've given me an opportunity to reveal faith. And that is mostly done in the hardest of times. So I pray that you take seriously what it means to be chosen by God and to partner with God and bring into your family what is good and right and holy. You have a very happy Thanksgiving, and God's blessing be with you.